There are diagnostic fees of over $100 that companies do when they price out of a book. So there's service agreements and contracts that basically don't cover anything. Simple parts replacements that can cost hundreds of dollars, and there's much more than just this. And what we're trying to do is make sure you don't pay way more money for heating and air conditioning service repairs that you shouldn't be paying for. Sometimes this stuff can just be outrageously overpriced. Don't be shy when the service tech is at your house performing the diagnostics on your equipment. Go ahead and kind of hang out by them, watch what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying get right up on their back and constantly be looking over their shoulder. You don't want to be annoying about it, but you just kind of hang out by them. That will solve a lot of their problems. And occasionally maybe ask some questions just to kind of gain some education on how the diagnostic process works. And this will cut out a lot of the bull crap that you get from a heating and air conditioning company that's basically just walking through your house and then charging you for it. When you ask a few questions without being a pest, this can go a long way. The work is hard with these HVAC technicians. Don't get me wrong. The work they do is very hard, and so you don't want to be annoying because they could be performing some pretty meaningful work on your behalf. But at the same time, it is pretty normal to get overcharged, and so this is just kind of a way to avoid the overcharges by asking a couple of questions and kind of hanging out with them nearby as they do their diagnostic checkup on your system. A $5 tip can go a long way, so don't be afraid to give a little tip. Don't flash a bunch of 20s and then pull out a $5 bill. I'm not saying that, but just have a $5 bill handy, and when they're wrapping up, go ahead and give it to them. I know some heating and air conditioning technicians, and so this is kind of how I've got some of this information that I can pass on to you. But it's not so much in selling you the air conditioner or selling you a new heater, but it's in servicing this equipment on a yearly basis. A lot of these companies have gone to a consulting companies that consult heating and air conditioning companies and how they can profit more in their industry by fashioning their service agreement contracts in such a way that they make more profit. The industry is increasingly becoming more oriented towards overpricing in the service arena. It's important to ask those questions and to hang out nearby, so you don't get charged $1,500 for a $150 part. The standard diagnostic first hour is typically anywhere from $90 to $120, but some will charge as much as $229 for just a standard diagnostic. But keep in mind, a standard diagnostic should be in the range of $90 to $120. Normal repairs would have about a 30 plus parts would have about a 30% markup, along with an $80 to $90 an hour service rate. Now, when I'm talking about these HVAC companies that use these consulting companies to assist in making their service aspect of their business more profitable, this is where things can kind of get out of hand. A maintenance agreement will charge you $60 for an annual agreement and give 10% off on astronomical prices on their services and parts. So even though they're saying, just pay $60 for the year and you can have 10% off on parts and labor, if their parts and labor are already astronomically priced, you're not really going to be saving any money there. In fact, you're going to be spending a lot more money than you had wished. A lot of these companies, when you pay that initial $60 annual agreement fee, they'll do a 30-minute walkthrough of your house, and really they're not really accomplishing anything more than trying to find ways to sell you more things at very, very high prices. Some places will charge as much as $200 for that annual agreement, and that will include is possibly like cleaning your gas-fired unit and giving you like 15% off parts and repairs and that type of thing. But there again, if you're paying this upfront yearly agreement, but you don't know how much they charge for their parts and service for some of these things, you're kind of just throwing that money away for this supposed annual agreement that's going to save you all this money if their parts and labor are so far high above the competition that any kind of 10-15% savings isn't really going to save any money if you were just to go to another one of their competitors who just charges much less for parts and labor. The big problem I see with the service tech industry and the HVAC industry is they're turning these HVAC technicians that know how to install and repair heating and air conditioning equipment. They're turning them into salesmen first, and so they're looking more. A lot of them are looking more towards just selling you stuff rather than actually fixing your stuff. And some of these places even have quotas, so they expect these HVAC techs to bring in $2,000 a day, and if you don't, you're not hitting your numbers. So some of these companies put their techs under a lot of pressure to sell. So in this situation, sometimes it helps to get quotes on service from a few different companies, and then look for the company that doesn't seem to fit a particular sales model like what I'm talking about, but has more of a, we're just hungry for work. We're hungry to get the job done and get paid, and do a good job for you, get paid, and hopefully you'll use us again. Looking for a company that's hungry, but not. You don't want to pick a company that's too hungry, where it's just a one-man shop and they don't really seem to know what they're doing or have as much experience. You got to pick a happy medium. You got to feel comfortable with their level of experience and knowledge and what they're going to be charging you. So it helps to get a few quotes, and don't go with the company that's too overly salesy. It seems like the tech is more of a salesman than an actual technician. But you want a company to come in and truly educate you on what it is, what service you actually do need, and it's not just trying to sell you a bunch of stuff. There's these hypoallergenic filters that you can get at Home Depot and Lowe's that are very expensive. There's filters there you can get that are like $30 for one filter. They're super hyperallergenic filters and whatnot, but studies have been done recently that have said that the amount of obstruction to the airflow of the system from using one of those can actually hurt and harm your new system by using those. It's actually better to get the 1 month filter and get the much cheaper filters, where it's like $15, and you get like 5 filters. That's just a 30-day filter, and it just lets airflow in quickly. It still catches the dirt, but it doesn't obstruct the airflow, and it doesn't harm your system. Don't confuse density with thickness. The 4-inch filters have way more surface area, which allows for good airflow. So just because it's thick doesn't mean it's dense. The 1-inch thick allergen HEPA high efficiency filters, it's like trying to pass air through a brick, and studies have shown that this can actually be harmful to your system, and these are starting to be seen as gimmicks. So don't spend all the money on the hypoallergenic filters if it may indeed be harming your system. You may just want to go with a 30-day filter and then replace that every 30 days, and you might have better luck that way. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in our